viewer, you are welcome to a fresh edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. This specially packaged program showcases the prospects, challenges, and giant strides attained in the power sector. Please keep following all guidelines for preventing the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. The headlines. Senate Committee commends Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, for rebuilding synergy in the power sector. Power Minister raises committee to review rent rates of defunct PHCN assets. Minister of State urges agencies to raise power supply services. For TCN, we'll be bringing you these reports. TCN says power transmission wheeling capacity increasing by delivering more transmission expansion projects. Stakeholders congratulate Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz as acting MD CEO of TCN. Stay with us all through this edition for a delightful experience. My name is Chinwenwa Anyanwu. Various stakeholders have congratulated Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz on his recent appointment as the new acting managing director and chief executive officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN.
Abdulaziz recently received his appointment letter with effect from May 19, 2020. His top management team, comprising 4 executive directors, also got their appointment letters, furthering the reorganization process being pursued by the Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman. Among the stakeholders is the African Development Bank, AFDB Group, who through a letter of congratulations from its Nigerian country department extended a congratulatory message to Engineer Abdulaziz. AFDB also indicated that it is looking forward to engaging with the MD, CEO, to make progress with the Nigerian Transmission Expansion Project, NTEP-1, under the Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program, TREP, and support any other projects that will improve power transmission in Nigeria. Similarly, the Nigerian Ajib Oil Company, NAOC, has also congratulated the new acting MD, CEO of TCN. The company also noted that the appointment is a demonstration of trust and confidence reposed in his ability to reposition the organization for efficient service delivery. The Plateau State government also extended its congratulations to the new TCN head in a letter from the Executive Governor of Plateau State and Chairman Northern Governors Forum, Dr. Simon Bako Lalong. Governor Lalong assured the new acting MD, CEO of TCN, of his support and collaboration, expressing confidence that the new MD will give his best in working to solve the power transmission challenge in Nigeria. The Nasarawa State government recently sent a top-level delegation on a courtesy visit to the acting MD, CEO of TCN and his management team. The leader of the delegation and general manager, Nasarawa State Electric Power Agency, NAEPA, Engineer Abubakar Danjuma Ango, who represented the state governor, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, said they were in TCN to congratulate the new acting MD and to solicit support for the completion of all ongoing power transmission projects in the state.
The Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, has received a special commendation from the Senate Committee on Power for his efforts in sanitizing and repositioning the power sector in Nigeria for optimum performance.
Speaking during a public hearing on the power sector plan and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic at the Senate building of the National Assembly in Abuja, Chairman of the committee, Senator Gabriel Suzwan, said the ministry's untiring efforts to realign the activities of the power sector agencies and the ministry will bring positive and impactful returns to the sector.
It's clear to anybody that, well, they have done averagely well. We, as a committee, stand with you, making sure that some of the laudable objectives you set here, will achieve them together. We are major stakeholders, and so you continue to carry us along so that we can join hands together and provide for Nigeria. And that is what all of us are elected to do.
He also commended the minister for the reports of the agencies under his ministry that he articulately presented at the hearing. Senator Suswan said it was not only the best, but that it also presents a clear vision on how to ameliorate the challenges of the power sector.
So once again, let me thank you very much for this presentation, and say that may God give you good health, guide you, providing electricity to Nigeria.
A member of the committee, Senator Adamu Alero, said he was impressed with the minister's presentation on the Siemens Presidential Power Initiative.
I'm very impressed with the way you talk about Siemens. The involvement of Siemens will certainly improve the entire value chain. This goes and the jump goes on the involvement of Siemens. I hope that when the entire project is completed, whatever government invests, it will be sold to the private sector, so that it will not be an investment that will just lie waste. It's supposed to be valued and be sold to the public.
The minister had in his presentation explained that the Siemens Presidential Power Initiative will help to dramatically solve the problem of aligning the generation of power with its transmission and distribution sections in the power sector value chain.
Siemens of the Germany are coming to align between distribution, transmission, and generation. What they are coming here to do mainly is on transmission and distribution alignment. We cannot continue like that. Some people have to come and do the job. And Mr. President foresight, which is very commendable, invited in the memorandum of understanding with the German government. So as far as we are concerned, anything that happened in Siemens, whether success or not success, we hold the German government responsible. They are coming with their money, they are coming to do this job. At the end of the day, we now, the equity, maybe we liquidate with the distribution company and see whether we are now moving from 40% to the higher share. It's almost done. We are going to start with the pre-engineering. The pre-engineering work has already commenced. That's about 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, they will now come and start doing the expansion, sign the agreement and start doing the expansion job.
Engineer Mamman disclosed that one of the major problems he confronted when he assumed office as the Minister of Power was the lack of proper coordination of the various agencies to achieve a common goal. However, he said his realignment and reorganization strategy was beginning to yield positive results.
What I meant here when I came and assumed duty is that a lot of directives from different angles. You discover that rural electrification is reporting to a different person. Transmission company of Nigeria reporting differently. MD reporting differently. So many processes reporting differently. At the end of the day, it's like minister, we just look like a fool. So I am trying as much as possible to bring everything together, every process, to at the end of the day, as a matter of policy, to report to the Honorable Minister of Power. That is the number one task when I assume office.
He further advocated the promotion of renewable energy technology to accelerate the energizing of rural and off-grid communities while the federal government worked towards improving the national grid power supply.
The only way to increase access on grid is now to promote home solar system. We have a proposal, we have secured a loan, we are going to, at least we have earmarked about 5 million Nigerians that are in the rurals that have no access to grids, that all these long towers you see cannot reach them. And we decided to come out with the initiative of solar power system, where we can electrify up to 600 or 6 million or 5 million homes.
Earlier, during the opening ceremony of the public hearing, the President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, had urged the Senate Committee on Power to ensure the deliberations provide strategies that will chart a course on solving the power sector challenges.
Nigeria has remained undeveloped, especially when we are talking about manufacturing, empowering our artisans, the vulcanizers, the barbers. Nigeria can never be competitive. Last year we signed the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. How can Nigeria take advantage of that agreement without power? Because we can't produce anything in a very competitive environment here. So Nigeria will be a dumping ground. Jobs, which ordinarily should be for Nigerians, would have to be exported out. So, as representatives of the people, we believe that in the Senate, we need to up our game to ensure that this sector, this very vital and important sector, receives the kind of attention government should give it.
Meanwhile, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of TCN, Engineer Sule Abdulaziz, at the public hearing, said the company was delivering on its objectives on expanding and improving bulk power transmission infrastructure nationwide. Responding to inquiries by the committee members on the wheeling capacity of the transmission network, the Executive Director of Transmission Service Provider, TSP at TCN, Engineer Victor Adewumi, said TCN has increased the wheeling capacity for bulk energy. Restating the wheeling capacity of the national grid and its management, the Executive Director, Independent System Operations, ISO at TCN, Engineer Maman Lawal, said the company was investing in transforming the national grid to world-class model. Other heads of agencies in the power sector who made presentation to the Senate Committee on Power at the public hearing include the Chairman, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, Professor James Momo, and the Managing Director of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, NEMCO, Mr. Nathaniel Fagbemi.
Let's take a break. The program continues shortly.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
The Minister of State for Power, Mr. Godi Jedi Agba, has directed the agencies under his purview to heighten their services towards improving the power supply experience of consumers nationwide.
Mr. Jedi Agba gave the charge on Tuesday during a media briefing in Abuja. He said improved power supply will enable businesses to pick up and improve lives.
If we have power, not just those fruits. The woman selling mama put, she can grind her pepper and prepare tomato for the pepper soup, which you go and buy the next morning, or people going to work with breakfast before, or even to fry akara. As the shoemaker, the cobbler, whom we call shoemaker, he has light. The tailor has light. Carpenter has light. He will do his work day and night, and productivity will increase from that level. Maybe cottage industries, but they grow up. So we need to step up our game. So the essence of this interaction is for you, gentlemen of the press, to see what we are doing and tell the world whether we have succeeded or we have failed, or whether we are working hard or not working hard.
He said those in rural areas should be given more power supply to boost industrialization.
After serving so many years in Abuja, you go back home, you don't have light among your people. Maybe you have light in your own house. How would you feel? You got light, the whole community has no light. There's no way of improvement. You're not going to feel happy. So I feel that we should give those people attention more than we give ourselves in the city, because there's where we come from. You don't plant from up down. It grows from down up. So if we grow them, we'll grow as our nation.
The managing director of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA, Engineer Peter Eweso, said the agency has inspected 5,652 power installations nationwide, and that over 65% have been certified fit for supplying electricity. He also reiterated the ban on connecting homes by elites directly by 33 kilovolts power lines by the distribution companies DISCOs, saying it deprives more consumers of power supply on the 11 kV lines.
These are the installations we have inspected, and over 65% of them will actually have been certified. When we say certified, it means that when we test the transformer is showing the characteristics of being able to transform voltage from 330 kV to 132 kV, or 132 kV to 33 kV, and 33 to 11, and 11 to 415, which we now use in our houses.
Director General of the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, Ahmed Nagodi, said over 15,000 technical personnel in the power sector have been trained.
So far, we have trained 15,000, more than 15,000 human capital that's in the power sector, and I can break this down into two. Those who are existing staff of the power sector utilities, and we have about 8,500 trained already. Then those who seek to build career in the power sector, the young graduates who intend to build a career in the power sector, and the artisans, we have about 7,500. We also have the record, because we have an alumni, keeping records of those who we have trained. About 50% of the 7,000 have been gainfully employed. Because when you see the utilities after privatization, they will need people, instead of having their own training, they will need people who they can have off the shelf, that have been trained, that have been equipped with skills for them to practice.
The managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, Ahmad Salihijo Ahmad, said over 80 million Nigerians lack access to power, but that the private investors like the World Bank had given a $350 million fund, and the African Development Bank, AFDB, gave $200 million to finance solar mini-grid and other rural power projects.
There are over 80 million Nigerians that currently do not have power, and relying solely on government funding would be very challenging for us to get that power to those over 80 million Nigerians. So essentially what we like to do is to continue to promote private sector investment. As the Honorable Minister mentioned earlier, there's a community in Rokota, for instance, that is being powered, but they also pay for that particular power. So most of the projects that we run actually stimulate private sector investment.
The Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Maman, has inaugurated an InterMinisterial Committee to review the ground rent and tenement rates for the inherited assets of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PHCN.
The minister was represented by the permanent secretary in the ministry, Dede Walson-Jack, during the inaugural meeting of the 8-member committee of the Federal Ministry of Power headquarters in Abuja. He said the committee was set up after discussions with the ministry and the Nigeria Electricity Liability Management Company, NEMCO, on its importance.
On behalf of my committee members and myself, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for the honor and privilege of being called upon to serve in this very important and industry-critical capacity, and to assure the Honorable Minister that we will be conscientious and assiduous in the performance of our duties.
Engineer Mamman had charged the committee members to undertake a holistic review of all matters relating to the rates request by state and local governments. Chairman of the committee and permanent secretary at the Ministry of Power, Dede Walson Jack, said the committee will be diligent in discharging the duties. She expressed optimism that members of the committee have the requisite energy and intellect to cover the enormous mandate.
Indeed, I am encouraged by the membership of the committee that we have the skills and experience and expertise to cover the wide-ranging areas.
The committee's head said the members are to swing into action immediately, as the committee has only 60-day timeline to deliver on their terms of reference.
To review the request for ground rent and tenement rates by states and local governments for lands acquired by PHCN, by the defunct PHCN. 2 is to determine and reconcile the requests of ground rent. 3 is to review gazettes and other legal documents associated with the request. 4, carry out any such assignment that may be helpful to the resolution of the matter. 5, make appropriate recommendations for the Honorable Minister's consideration. And 6, recommend appropriate payment strategy.
Members of the committee include the Managing Director of NEMCO, Chief of Staff to the Minister of Power, Director of Finance and Accounts at the Ministry, and the Director of Lands, Ministry of Works and Housing. The rest are the representatives of the Ministries of Finance, Justice, and the Executive Director of Liability Management at NEMCO, who serves as the Secretary for the committee.
It's a wrap on this edition. We shall meet next week for another interesting edition. This episode and the previous ones are available on our YouTube channel. You can always interact with us on these platforms as you support TCN in realizing its goals of advanced bulk electricity transmission services. As the economy opens up, remember that it is not still over with the COVID-19 pandemic. You can play a critical role to stop the virus transmission by washing or sanitizing your hands regularly, practicing physical distancing rules, and all other preventive measures. Together, we can overcome the coronavirus pandemic. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Goodbye for now.